Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Tina and I make videos on lifestyle, home decor, and DIY projects every single week. And today's video is a really fun one because it is my first ever Dollar Tree video, and I was really excited to head over to my local Dollar Tree because all their stores are open right now, and I know that they have this new Crafters Square area and that really has some really awesome supplies. So I picked up a few of those items as well as some other fun items for all of my projects, and I think that they all turned out so good. I don't think that you could tell that I made these items from the Dollar Tree, so I really hope that you guys like it. So enough of me rambling, let's get into the first project. Hello from VoiceOver Tina. So for this first project, we're going to use these Hula skirts from the dollar store to create a wall hanging. And I actually got this idea from Emily Faith here on YouTube, and she actually used Raffia for her wall hanging. But since I don't have any Raffia at home, I thought that this Hula skirt will be perfect for that project. First, you want to start off by cutting your macrame cord to size, and I just eyeballed this by forming the rainbow shape I wanted to create and cut the cord out accordingly. No pun intended there. So I cut up 8 cords, but I actually ended up using only 7 of them in the end, so cut out as many or as little as you want for your wall hanging. Now I'm going to separate out the faux dried grass on the hula skirt from the rope, and you can unloop this, or you can also just simply cut it off with some scissors. Next, I'm going to wrap each piece of this faux raffia around my 6mm macrame by adding a bead of hot glue about 1 to 2 inches from the start of the macrame cord, and then wrapping it around a couple inches at a time before adding in more hot glue. And at first I was wrapping the whole skirt as I normally would, but then I thought it looked super flat, so I went around it again with a twisting motion to create some more texture to the hanging, and I think that this made it look so much better. And when you make your way to the other end of the cord, make sure that it matches the other end so that the fringe is going to be equal on both sides. Now that you wrapped off one cord, it is time to repeat this to all the other cords, and I feel like I say this in every single one of my videos when I'm wrapping things around each other, but this truly is the most tedious part, so I would highly recommend that you do it by watching YouTube or a TV show or something to pass the time. Also, I wanted to mention that a couple people in the comments told me to get these little silicone finger protectors from Dollar Store, and they are honestly so helpful to prevent myself from getting hot glue gun burns, and they come in a pack of 3, so I totally would recommend you guys to pick these up if you're an avid hot glue gunner like I am. Alright, now that the cord's all wrapped, it is time to assemble them all together, and for this I will be using some more hot glue, and I'm working in small sections. And while you're doing this, you want to make sure that you hold the pieces together and let the glue completely dry before moving on to another part. And after you're done gluing and making sure that it is all dry, you can go ahead and cut up your macrame cord to make sure that the ends are all even. So I'm just going to do a blunt cut across the whole bottom end, and as you've seen many times on my channel, I'm going to create fringe by brushing out the cord with a comb. And after you combed it out and it's looking all nice and fluffy, you can go ahead and cut it one more time to make sure that it's all even. And it is time to finish this piece off, so I'm just going to string together some giant wood beads with a piece of macrame. If you couldn't already tell, I love adding in these wood beads for my projects. I think they are just so much fun and look so cute. And lastly, I'm just going to knot my string and then attach it to the hanging with some hot glue. And now your rainbow wall hanging is ready to be hung. This was such a simple project to create, but I think that the raffia just adds such a nice element of texture to it. And with most of the projects that I do on my channel, you can definitely personalize this one, and you can make it as large or as small as you want depending on your space. I also have so much of this hula skirt left, and I think that this material can be used for so many different projects, so I'm already brainstorming some other ideas for this, but I would love to hear in the comments down below what you guys would make with the rest of this hula skirt. Alright, so for my next project, I am using this pair of dangled hoop earrings from the Dollar Tree. I feel like these don't even look like they belong at the Dollar Tree, but they were on the stand and I knew that I had to grab them for this next project. So first things first, we're going to remove these silver beads on the hoop. I was able to bend the hoop to get each one of the beads off, and this was pretty easy to do. I'm going to save these beads for another project, or maybe they'll just sit in my craft stash somewhere, but I just knew that I couldn't waste these, so I put these aside. And once those are taken care of, you can bend the hoop back pretty easily so that it looks seamless. For the new earring design, we're going to be using 4mm macrame, so I'm just going to cut out 4 pieces of this, and I'm keeping these on the longer side at about 10 inches so that I can knot them easier, but if you're a more skilled knotter, you can make these a little bit shorter at 8 inches. Now that you have them all cut, you can go ahead and separate each cord into 3 separate strands. And to start, for each one of these earrings, you will need 6 cords. And to make things a little bit easier, I'm going to tape my earring down, and don't forget to make sure that it's facing the right way before you tape it down. To start, I'm going to create a cow hitch knot by folding my cord in half and then placing it on top of my earring and pulling the ends through the loop. Then repeat this process to the remaining 5 cords. And for the cord that's on the farthest right hand side, you want to make sure that the end on the right is a lot longer. So what I'm going to do is just unknot it a little bit and then pull at the cord until the one on the left is about half of the size of the one on the right. And essentially we want this cord to be longer because it is going to be the base cord that all of the other cords are going to be wrapping around, and this cord will be moving towards the left of the earring. Now it's time to get to knotting, so all you want to do is to take the working cord on the left and then create a number 4 on top of the base cord on the bottom and loop it through the hole. And make sure as you're working that you're pulling the working cord across horizontally so that each knot is going around it vertically. Then you will do this a second time, so making another 4 and pulling it through the loop, and this creates a double half hitch knot. Now all you need to do is to repeat this step and create double half hitch knots across each one of the cords. And since this is such a small scale project, having the cords a little bit longer will help you loop them through as you're moving across the earring, so I would definitely recommend that you cut the cords at 10 inches and then cut it off later. After you've knotted all of the cords, you can go ahead and take the base cord and pull it super tight. And this will get rid of any of the gaps that you have in between the cords. And once you pull it, you can go ahead and snip it right off. To make sure this is super secure, I'm going to use fabric glue on a Q-tip to make sure that the cord stays in place. And you can also use super glue or even regular Elmer's glue for this. Once that dries, you can go ahead and cut the cords to your desired length and comb it out to create a fluffy fringe. I found it to be helpful to comb it out and cut off smaller pieces in order to create a nice arch shape. Now that you have one earring done, you can go ahead and move on to the next one to finish your pair. I love how stylish these are. I think they are super trendy, and I would love to try this with a colored macrame cord on a gold pair of earrings. I think this would also work really nicely on a pair of earrings that you have at home, so go ahead and try it and let me know how you like it. And now for my last dollar store DIY, I'm using this canvas tote bag to turn it into a banner. First, I'm going to flip over the bag and cut up the blank side of it to use as the material for my banner. Next, I'm going to measure out how large I want this to be, so I'm going to create a rectangle that is approximately 6 inches wide and 9 inches long. Then I'm going to go ahead and mark the midpoint horizontally at 3 inches and make that line about 1.5 inches from the bottom of the edge. From there, you can go ahead and connect the corner of the rectangle to this point to create our banner shape. You can also choose to create your banner in any one of these shapes that I have here on the screen. And now comes the fun part in customizing what your banner says. So when creating this, I was in between the phrases stay inspired or make magic, but I ultimately chose make magic for this banner, but you can choose whatever fun quote or phrase for yours. And to do this, I just penciled it in very lightly, making sure that my lines and letters were all evenly spaced out. Next, I'm going to paint my design onto the banner, and I'm just going to use regular old acrylic paint with my favorite fine line brush, and you can use fabric paint or even cut out some felt letters or even embroider it with your design. You can really use your imagination and have fun with this part. And while that's drying, I'm gonna go ahead and cut down my dowel. So I got this pack of 12-inch dowels from the Dollar Tree, and I'm so excited to use these for future projects. And since my banner is 6 inches wide, I wanted to make sure that there was enough room on both ends to tie a string around the banner, so I marked it up between 7 to 8 inches long. Next, I'm going to use my little hacksaw, which I actually got at the Dollar Tree, to cut up this dowel, and make sure that you're very careful with this step and protect your surface and your fingers. Now that the banner's dry, we can set the dowel aside and move on to cutting it up. And when it comes to the top part, I'm going to leave about 1 inch to wrap around the dowel, but I'm going to cut the rest up according to my guidelines. If you're fancy, you can go ahead and sew the banner to the dowel, but I'm simply just going to wrap the banner around it and hot glue it together. And when you're doing this, make sure that you don't use too much glue or it'll seep through the fabric. Now you can tie some rope to each end of the dowel and hang it up for display. This banner looks great styled in a room on its own, or can also be used as a display for all of your enamel pins. I'm loving how this looks in my room, and I can't wait to add more pins to it. It just had to be this year that all the cicadas came back, and now they are so loud. Okay, finally, they stopped. So those were all the projects for today's video. Let me know in the comments down below which ones were your favorite. I honestly can't choose. I love them all so much. And as you can tell, I am rocking my earrings. I do think that they are a little bit kind of big, but I love a chunky hoop, so I just love how these came out. I'm also hoping that the next time I go, I find some gold hoops so I can make another pair of these. Like, who would be able to tell that you got this from the dollar store? Nobody. And when someone gives you a compliment on where you got your earrings from, you can always say that you made it yourself, which is really fun. And I also really love the banner that I made. And I really love the phrase that I went with because I feel like it really does encompass what you're doing when you're DIYing things. You're just making magic, making something out of nothing, just like what we just did in today's video with all of our DIY projects from the dollar store. And I'm so excited because I actually got so many other items that I didn't include in this video. So I am well prepared to make another one of these videos. So if you would like to see more from me, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up so that I know and that I make another one of these. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe down below so you can see new videos every single week. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram. I'm posting on there every single day. Here is my handle. And that's it for today's video. Stay inspired and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!